Being 5 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes, or are you just doing that now?
I had no issues with that.
No issues?
The only issue I had was the words, the Lincoln Street discussion. I
Okay.
had made that disclosure that I'm a butter by proximity. I just want to have that caption in the minutes. I heard back from legal, and there isn't an issue, but they told me just to make that disclosure.
Okay.
Alright, so where am I making the change?
It's
What paragraph or page?
second page, second paragraph.
And so, I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
I just wanted that, I made a disclosure that I'm a butter through proximity to the property, and that I have nothing to gain, and I'm able to discuss and vote on it per town council.
You are?
I am, yep.
Well, yeah, don't put that in those minutes though, because you didn't
I didn't
find
know
out
about
about
that,
that.
yes.
Just that he disclosed that he's a butter by proximity to the Lincoln Street project, and that he was gonna check with town council about his ability to vote.
If he could vote on it or make any decisions on it.
And then you can say it tonight, so it's in the.
Yeah, it'll be on the minutes for tonight. So, we're signing the bills now. Signing the warrants. Do you have any abatements this week?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah? Yeah, it's just the money back, huh?
Yeah, the ones really hurt are the ones we give back to the town.
The biggest thing, we keep track of the water usage for unaccounted for.
Well, yeah, I know, that's the thing, is that especially if you start getting into, with the water, the field.
They,
out
town
there.
hall used to get upset because we were billing people, but there was a lot of unaccounted for water. With the, especially the schools and stuff, and years ago, we didn't bill, we do now.
Yeah, they use a lot of water.
Yeah, especially when they had all the leaks in the gym. Yeah, a lot of them.
When the kids go in, leave the showers on for the weekend.
Yeah, it used to just drip all the time. It used to drip all the time.
Uh-oh, lead and copper.
Yep, it's that time as well. It's that year.
Howard Dempsey got back, what, 69 cents, 70 cents, $1.39. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you.
Is that okay?
Wayne, do you fill up the propane tanks at the end of the season?
It depends, like, we have a hard time getting to fill them up regularly. We've had the same company now for as long as I've been, and even before when you were, and they still show up and try to fill up the run tanks, or run tanks dry on us.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but and we've tried everything.
How many tanks do we have right now? 3? We have one at,
There's 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 tanks?
Yeah. There's Walnut, North Elm, there's 2 at Station 2,
Oh,
and
wait a
1 at
minute, I
Station
forgot
1.
North Elm, yeah, the tank. There's one up at the tank for the generator.
Yeah.
And then, the Walnut Street tank, there's one up there.
Yeah,
Norman Avenue,
2. There are 2 there.
there's 2 there, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Dylan, you okay with the wording?
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That black binder is the commitment for the May bill, Rick, that you have to sign as well.
What's that again?
The black binder is the commitment,
Oh, yeah. How did that come up this time?
right there.
How's that, 418,086, how's that compared to last year? The same quarter. Are we up, down,
We're down.
by how much?
By about 11, well, about 10,000 something in change.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, not a lot.
No, well, it's a flat quarter.
Now you just hope for dry weather and some heat and
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to vote on that as well.
Why do like, property transfer fees?
It's real estate selling.
I know, but-
Those are just the property transfers in the month of April, because we,
Yeah, but those show up in the billing form, there's $475, but there's the tie-in fees and those things don't show up.
well, everything except the tie-in fees, because they book those differently, she told me, Kathy Reed. That's the
Which
only-
number are they in? Do we
It's
know?
a separate sheet that I do. I can print it out for you.
Okay, all right, but so it adds on to the 418?
No, they book it differently. They don't include it in the commitment.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
We used to put them in there, and she said to take them out. She doesn't do it that way. This has been ongoing. That's not anything new. It's been a few years, a couple of years anyway.
We all have to sign this, right?
Yes, please. And then I need a vote on it.
So what you're looking at, Dylan, is that's what we commit to take and bring in for revenue. In reality, what we have is we have a group of residents, or there's a lot, that don't pay. They let it go to their mortgage. So as you get going, then it kind of washes out. So you get it back from tax lien.
And what happens too is, that's interesting, is that the Department of Revenue doesn't care how much we bill people, it's how much we collect at the end of the quarter or the end of the year.
Okay.
They're looking at how much money we collected. There's 1 year we ran short, and I said, well, we billed plenty, but you know, they just didn't pay. So they said, well, you gotta collect more. So what that means is you gotta collect more from the people who do pay.
Right, it's not.
So you have to go up on the bills, you have to go up on the rate, so that the people who do pay for the people who don't pay. That's what it amounts to. That's why years ago we came up with a $50 late fee. If you have a bill that goes from one bill to the next bill, then there's a $50 fee.
If your balance is $100 or more.
Yeah, $100 more. Yeah, we had a few cases where 3 cents and the computer tripped a $50 fee on it, and that didn't seem fair, so we put a minimum of $100 if there was, but we had to do that because so many people, what they do is they think that they're saving themselves money by letting it go to a tax lien, which they charge them $200 when they put a
It's
tax lien.
200 plus finance charges, so. it's not
And
cheap.
plus finance charges, and we put the $50 fees on there also, but then they pay it on their tax bill, and then they think it's a tax write-off. I don't think it really is, but when they pay their taxes, it's included in their taxes. So that's why people do it, but
But it's actually illegal because you're only supposed to write off taxes
Right.
when you file for your taxes.
Because
So you're supposed to remove the CPA too.
Is your water bill isn't tax deductible like your taxes are.
Yep, because that's not,
I do have to say, we get a
it's
lot
not
of
taxes on your
calls,
real estate, it's,
like, we
It
get a
doesn't
lot of
amount
calls,
to
like,
much
new
now.
No, but I mean,
never
homeowners
chased it.
that they think their water bill is included in their mortgage, and that's why they don't pay it, is because they think that, because sometimes, you know, newer owners, they have their taxes rolled into their mortgage, so sometimes they think their water bill is part of that, which it's not. But we have a lot of calls like that.
So that's the reason why we had that $50 fee,
to manage it.
because actually 1 year, the water commissioners got upset because there was so much money that was outstanding. And Donnie Adek had run into a lady in the town hall with her coin thing opened up, trying to pay her water bill, and he's like, I can't believe we gotta go up on that lady's bill because somebody doesn't wanna pay their on time.
So I'll make a motion, we accept the commitment.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Carrie, sometime can you print the other one out with the,
Yeah, I'll print it at the end of the meeting if you want.
oh,
Takes
okay.
2 seconds. Actually, I can print it at the end.
Okay. Next thing on the thing, reorganize the Board of Water Commissioners. Do I hear any motions?
What was?
This is Dylan's.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we needed a clerk. Tony was the clerk.
Okay. Were you interested in being a clerk?
I'm interested in Art being the clerk. He's interested.
What do you?
I like that. What are you, you're gonna go
Well, because he was behind,
That's
so
what
Tom?
usually
Tom was
happens.
the clerk?
anyway.
Yeah, I guess Tommy was the clerk, I was a member.
You're a member.
Yeah.
That's a lower number? That's a lower?
Yes, on the payroll, yes.
I mean, the payroll's different.
I
didn't even know that.
didn't know what the status was.
To be honest, when I did this, I didn't even know they got paid.
Yeah. I think the other boards at points have risen there, so I don't know how that works either, so. It doesn't rise a lot.
No, I would be interested in being the clerk if we need a clerk,
Okay,
so.
I'll make a motion for Art to be the
oh,
clerk.
second that. What are we here for, what's the member? Yeah. Who wants to be a member?
Well, he is automatically a member.
He's automatically a member.
Yeah,
Well,
You guys voted in.
somebody want to be chairman or?
You are.
Huh?
You are chairman right now, right?
I am right now, but it could be changed right now.
Well, the thing is, to be honest, where you are mostly retired, and you still have stuff that keeps you busy, but I think you have a better opportunity with all the stuff going on to be available.
Okay.
So I would have no issue with you remaining as chair.
So that a motion?
Do we make a motion one each? Should we make a motion for the whole thing, or?
One each,
One at a time?
just so this.
Okay, so,
Only 2 spots are changing.
Yeah, it's just, there's no motion needed for Dylan. There'd be actually, the only motion would be, because he's automatically a member, the only motion would be for me to become clerk. That you need.
Okay.
so we already did that. You all set there, Kerry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are we all done with that reorganization?
I guess.
Okay, so,
No coops, no.
No coup, no bloody coup or non-bloody coup.
all right, lead and copper, what do you got on that one?
Alright, so this is a lead and copy here for us. The rules haven't changed yet, they're still the same, they are gonna change. And,
How will that change?
Um,
Not for the better, I'm sure.
no, they're not gonna be for the better. But I think I might have to resurvey the town, like do the whole town to prove that we meet the lead and copper, that we don't have lead things. So I've thought up a way to, I'll have Deborah, once they haven't formulated all the things that they're gonna want you to survey yet, but they're pretty close to finalizing it. Once they do that, I'll have Deborah make up an app for the iPads so that we'll do during the winter times, the cold months, we'll go door to door and we'll survey the lines coming in to see, you know, whether they're steel, copper, or plastic. And then the app.
There aren't many steel ones left now.
Well, it was like a whole pile of them showed up at once to have theirs changed, because they asked for the contractor list, and then none of them did. So there are probably about 50 in town. And
Yeah.
they all
Yeah,
have
so-
repair couplings on them, so
Yeah, well, I'd say 50, but that isn't very many out of 2,700.
oh, I know, but they're a pain. I don't wanna touch them anymore, because we usually end up spending a long day trying to find a good piece to get reattached to.
Right.
So at least we'll be alerted, so it'll take a picture also, so we can attach a picture, so that in the future, when we do remetering, somebody going to a house is gonna know what they're up against, well, a little battle about what they're up against. So, because there'll be a picture attached to GIS, so.
Maybe we should come up with after you get the list, send a letter to these people and tell them that they're at the point where they could flood out their basement with that water line, because
Well, we have one.
they have to, they're all, they gotta be 100 years old.
Oh yeah, we had one and we warned her that this isn't gonna last a day, and she got a contractor, she paid a lot, but she got a contractor in. And by the time the contractor got on site and had this dig safe clear, the puddle was getting faster.
Yeah.
I have 2 in town that I've warned that I'm not gonna, if it blows apart, you're without water, you've been warned, change it. And they haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, but we should maybe, once we find out who these people are, send a letter to them
Right.
all, just telling them that the life expectancy of your water line is over.
If they've kept the line open, then they've been using it, but the problem is that on the outside, it's ready to blow apart. It's just the dirt itself holding it together.
Right.
And like
There
I
was
said,
nothing in the asset management study that picked up on any of that, was it?
no, because it's not documented anywhere that a steel line exists. But this will actually help us if we can get residents to let us in.
See, the other thing is that years ago, they replaced, like on North Elm Street, the town went out and replaced our end from the main to the curb box.
Yeah.
And the only ones, well, there's a lot of them that were then tied in to still a steel service going into the house. But we couldn't make them change out their
Right.
service. But when you see a square box for the curb box out front, that one is definitely steel all the way. And there aren't very many of them. There's a lot of them that steel into the house, but they're not steel from the curb box out to the street. So, and they'll have a regular Erie box on them, a round cover on them. But I've seen a couple, there's like 2. There's one down by John Cruz's house I've seen in the sidewalk.
It's got a square block.
Square box, yeah. So there aren't very many left around
No.
and the other bad thing, the reason why we were trying to get rid of them all, and even before I got here, they were getting rid of them, is that all the steel pipes have a lead gooseneck that goes to the main, because you can't hit the main exactly.
Yeah, you can't bend the
You
steel.
can't bend the steel. So what they used to do is they used a lead gooseneck to make the fitting into the main. So we were trying to, with the lead and copper rule, when that came out, we were trying to get rid of all the lead that we possibly could in the system. And that, so we were going around and making sure anything that we knew about, we were replacing. There aren't too many on our side.
No.
So what's the numbers? Are they gonna lower the number that you can have in the water now?
Well, they just want you to survey, and they're asking, but I have no way to know that a lead gooseneck exists or not. You know, I've seen a few in town, but for the most part, they don't.
It's only gonna be on a surface that we still have steel.
Right,
If we put copper in,
yeah, and I can't
We
see
put it in a
our
depth.
side, I can see the house side, but I can't see our side.
but if you don't see a square box, ours is gonna be copper.
Yeah, I did come across a square box recently, and it was copper on our side. For some reason, they just.
And every
chipped out, didn't
time,
want to
every
do the
time we
bonus.
changed one, every time one got changed that we did, it should be on the GIS map. It should be labeled.
Yeah, I have had, we don't even, for the most part, unless the tie card says that they put in a 3/4 service, the tie cards, a lot of them don't even specify the size copper going in.
Well, years ago, those were on the pink cards that were here.
Yeah,
Every time, before we had the computer, every time a water service got done in that big draw, you pulled the 2 drawers out, there was a card made out for every one of them, and that used to be right upstairs.
I'll look to see if there's still something up there, because we haven't.
And we transferred all those cards by picture onto the,
There are some
scanned
cards
them,
in there, but,
and they're all in there, they're all to the address, so all the information should be there. It's all should be there because we scanned all that, we didn't do it, we sent it out, had it scanned, and it's all attached to everybody's property. And that stuff goes back to 1910, when we started.
so in my lead and copper sampling this year, we had a lot of residents that refused. So we currently pay them $25. What I'm asking you to do is vote and raise what we abate them to the minimum, the basic rate, whatever it is at the time that we get them to sample. So that I get more tooth. 2 years ago when I tried, well, maybe even 3, I forget how long we've been paying them to do it, but the residents just flat out refused.
Really?
Yep,
They just won't do it.
they won't do it.
Why,
So
they think
suddenly
they're
when I was paying them, all of them jumped in. Now,
why do they think they're gonna be in trouble for something?
no, because I tell them, I let them know that nobody's gonna ask you any questions. I give them the form to fill out, which I have a hard time getting them to fill out the form too.
You think
but-
that they wanna know what their lead content is at their
No,
house?
they don't wanna be bothered. It's a bottle filled, they don't wanna be bothered. So, and it's not, like I've seen the question come up on the Mass Waterworks Association a lot now. Like other towns are having the very same issue. We're lucky we're every 3 years. However, it depends upon DEP, that new well, or our replacement well could trigger us back to buy annually. So, it's all up to DEP's determination whether they force that on us or not. There are a lot of triggers that send you back, and then you have to reprove yourself again.
Oh, my.
So I was like, because we all just sat in a class for it.
So you're talking about this for like an ongoing thing, so we wouldn't have to vote to change the number, which is whatever the basic rate goes to?
So that it's whatever the basic rate is. 'Cause hopefully we stay on the every 3 year, but they're still determining whether they're gonna trip everybody backwards and then make them start again. And I'm hoping they don't.
So right now, how many do we have to sample?
We need 20 bottles, but I pull as many as, I think I have a 30 count list. But I think that's decreased now
We used
because
to do
people
60, I think,
refuse us.
years ago.
And they flat out don't want us to even ask them. So I know I can get about 25. There's not a lot, it's under 30.
Okay, so we go from $25 to what right now?
And I believe it's
We only charge $25. Oh, we don't charge, we
the
don't.
basic rate though.
Oh, 55.
50, so
Yeah.
more than doubling it.
If
Right,
it's residential, it's 55, if it's.
right.
family.
Well, it's all residential. And it's a specific group of houses. It's not like you're forced into that year.
Right. What year was it? It's before 87, right?
Yeah, it's
Any
like
house
a
before 87.
3-year period. And so all of it, I see the same, and it's
Yeah,
kind of
but
sad because I see the same people. I've been doing this for the 16 years I've been here, so I see people age out. And it's kind of sad as you see it happening. I guess it happens, but
Yeah, they had it, the house had to be before 87, but it couldn't be any older than a certain.
Right, when they did away with the lead.
60 something, and I was like,
So,
why did you do that? And they said that they figured that the lead would be all leached out.
Yeah, if it's old enough.
So they wanted that window. Funny thing is, what fit in our window? And they built Matfield Woods, and there was all plastic in there and everything. There was, and the houses didn't have copper in them. So I asked them. I asked DEP. I said, "You're not going to find anything in there." So then they said, "Well, it's still is in the dead. It's in the date. You're going to do it." I said, "Okay." So we did it. They didn't come up with any. So then they said, "Well, you cheated. You got to find some other places." And we were having a hard time because there wasn't very many houses built in that window that we had.
right, and it's not gonna get any better as time goes on, because everybody's switching over to plastic and,
Yeah, nobody's putting any more lead in.
No.
So I think that's,
it entices them. Like I said, I couldn't, though, there was the one year I had to come back and ask the commissioners to,
Do we have to vote on that to pay them?
yeah, you have to vote to change it.
Okay.
so the credit would be 1 billing cycle's basic charge, is what you're recommending?
Don't you chase them?
No. Well, it's gonna rain out now. I saw him walking across the, oh, can't say that on camera. All right.
There you go.
I don't mind if he's out here
So,
and he
yeah.
bothers Carrie, but.
Yeah.
What are you gonna give them? 1 basic charge?
Yeah, so we just abate them the basic charge, and we do it at the next billing cycle. It's not that they don't ever get any money, it's just we abate it off.
Do I hear a motion for that, or a discussion?
I think we've discussed it enough. You think that's the right?
That'll entice them, I believe, enough to, and hopefully maybe get somebody back on.
I would think that would be an enticement for somebody.
Especially.
It worked the first time around.
And they will be
and now
going
it's
up again,
Getting
so.
sketchy again. I don't know, I mean, all you gotta do is fill a bottle. Like, I literally give them a letter and say, I'm never gonna ask you anything about your house, I'm not gonna ask you when or how you filled it. And they did away with the 6 hour too. So you're not, like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
6 hour window, I
Yeah.
think they've either done away with it or they're going to do away with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
but
like we're
6
sending
hour
people
window
into
was
the
it?
house to collect.
Your water
it.
was
It's
supposed to
empty
sit in the
water.
pipe for
Right,
6
and I
hours.
pretty much pre-fill
So
out
you
the
had to
form
do
on the
it
sample and
first thing in
yellow
the
out,
morning.
and it's a
First
mess.
draw.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted.
All right, I'll make a motion that we raise the abatement rate for people participating in the lead and copper sampling to 1 billing cycle's basic charge.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and everybody in favor? Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, I guess it's unanimous. Water rates.
All right, Tatter and Howard couldn't make this meeting. Because I sent them right away, but they couldn't make this one, they can make the next one.
Okay, is that fit everything all right? Setting the rate?
Yeah, because so far we haven't done anything. The first change to Manly is, and when I look at our commit, we're gonna make our budget this year, we will make it. So we're not gonna have any issues with this billing cycle. We did, in a couple of, maybe a year or two back, we didn't take in enough revenue when Mass DOR forced us to raise the rates.
Even though we didn't overspend our budget. We didn't make the money for the,
Right.
that we budgeted, but we didn't spend the budget.
Cut back on spending, like I have to hold up on spending until I see what the weather is gonna be, so and I have a hard time, FinCom doesn't understand that. Like most people get their money and they can spend it right away, I can't, I have to watch to see that I'm gonna generate enough revenue, so most of my spending occurs after January when I realize we have 2 peak periods and it's during the summer, we're about to enter the next one, and the next 2 will be our peak periods. Setting the rates for the water department isn't easy because it's not static. the weather and people's, you know, the economy drives how people are gonna spend. They'll spend more on cable than they will on water, and they don't wanna hear that. They just don't wanna pay for the water. I also, going hand in hand with this, under your little things, there's a letter that the, I got from Mass Waterworks. So the, all of the money that was coming out of this big infrastructure bill, yeah, it got pushed to its loans now.
Now, did you put this on the website, or?
I have not, so I'm asking your permission to post that up onto to the website. There'll be a few forgivable loans, but there'll be far and few between, and it's those who, and it talks about being ready to get going,
Yeah.
which I was
Is that-
shovel ready right at the beginning of this thing for like a lot of projects, and then it boils down to they did this to it.
I'll make a motion that you post this on the town web, the water department website.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
You know, when they, are they gonna charge interest on these loans?
Yep. They're not interest free. They're not giving anything. We don't even get a free glove or a free vest.
Hey, John Duggan used to tell me that the interest rate was cheaper to go through the bank than it was to go through that.
Once,
Right.
he was real good at finding those kind of,
And it's still that way. We can finance cheaper than what they'll finance us as.
That doesn't make sense to me. If they're getting the money from the federal government,
The problem is you can't tell whether you're gonna get a forgiven loan unless you're in with them, and then you can't get out of that loan like we're tied with the Walnut Street to a high interest rate because you have to bond. I don't understand the process, but I know you have to do something with bonding it, and there's a big amount of money involved.
yeah, it costs, you have to pay the banks to prepare a bond and put it out, you know, to be auctioned off like.
Right.
And that's expensive. That's why the town likes to take, if they got a couple big projects going, the water department has one and the school has one or something,
lump.
they'll do it all as one, but we'll get our loans separate, but it'll be all one bond.
Right. Like, we don't actually borrow until the project's complete and they can see, even though we tell them in advance it might be $2 million, they won't go out for the loan until we're all done with the project and they can see what our set amount is.
Right.
Yeah, but as far as this just basically explains what's going on. If we borrow the money at a cheaper rate, we borrow the money at a cheaper rate.
Right.
It just helps them out.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing to put out there. So Tater and Howard will be here next week on
So-
next
Yeah.
meeting.
And I'll let
So,
them-
under, first thing under old business is stations, for the engineer, we might as well just discuss that next meeting when they come in.
Yeah, because they'll have more details
They'll
on
have
where they're
more
at,
detail.
because it would be the short-term solution. We've lowered down our MIOX as low as we can, and we saw a change in our, you know, our iron and manganese removal. So we had to stop. Our output is still reading 0.01.
Oh, this is trying to get it down so that
Yeah.
the pilot study could use
Right,
the water.
so that, yeah, because you can't, no chlorine can hit the IX media or it melts it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I still think that they should put in a chlorine, there's always the chance for something, but on the other hand, because we cut it down by 50% what we were putting in without changing our removal rates. So we probably don't need to change from MIOX to chlorine. Now, I mean, the cell, it might pay off just to stay the way we are. The other problem is there's some change made to the way they produce chlorine. I forget what they can't have in it now. I don't know whether it's PFAS or asbestos, something that they can't have in it anymore in the process. So it's gonna make it more difficult to make certain chlorine products. So we might be better off staying the way we are.
No, if they
The
had to,
supply
could
chain is,
they put a dechlor?
yes, and that, I
Station
still
in front
prefer
of
they
it.
put a dechlor in front of it, just to,
So if something happens, you get a burst, you know, the pump
Right.
runs wild, you don't blow up the meter.
Right.
Actually, you wanna talk under this about that, Zoom call there with?
I wasn't,
Lawsuit?
yeah, I wasn't invited to that, and
I thought you were invited to it, I was surprised.
yeah, and I
Called
don't,
afterwards.
like,
How did that go?
Well, it went pretty well. David Gay was on it, Dave Gagney and myself and, Keen, I can't remember her name, the attorney who's working for the company that's doing the overall thing. She had a bunch of questions about our system, questions about the fighting foam that was used up on Manly. She said that while the samples that we're taking, the analysis that's being done now, can't tie it to a specific foam,
right.
there are additional tests that can be done that can determine if it was like 3M's foam or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that they can. So she's looking for information on that fire and anything that the fire department might know about foam that might have been used on 24.
There was just, you said there was just a recent, because you said about the fireman, so I did send him an email and I asked him that in the future, and they're fully aware of PFAS. Yeah, they had a fire on Route 24, a car fire. They did use foam, and they called in DEP immediately for cleanup.
She was thinking
So
too
how do
about
they
the
do that, you
historical
know?
ones though.
That I can't tell, but I know that he said that they requested DEP, was notified immediately for cleanup.
It'd be interesting to see what DEP is recommending or doing, you know, when they're notified, what they do.
They must have do is come up with a vac truck, yeah.
Because they just so they don't wash it out. But she was thinking not so much as right now, but over the past, who knows, 10, 15 years, 20 years, over the line in Brockton, did Brockton have any big fires with the usage? It's not because you can, Brockton shouldn't worry about us asking because
Right.
you can't go after Brockton for it anyway.
Right,
But
it's the
you can go after, the whole idea is tying it into going after the manufacturer of the foam, which I think she said was mostly 3M, is who was making it.
Yeah,
So if we can find out if it was used in a number of areas around, you know, it's not necessarily in our zone 2, but in an area that might contribute to the aquifer, that's something to be looking for. She
Yeah,
asked.
that's interesting too, that we were only finding it near the highway.
And that's what I said, yeah, those wells are literally between the road and the highway. It's not like it's, you know, the station, because we were going through, she had it on her screen, computer
Yeah.
screen, it was pointing out where things were. And the Manley Street station's over here, but the wells are right off the highway.
right.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's right there.
And you've got Brockton upstream of all that, so that's one of the things she's interested in. A lot of the things she was asking, I told her she should be able to get right off our website. She was also looking for a consumer confidence report, any kind of data on the water system.
Yeah,
They're supposed to be setting up some kind of, almost like Dropbox, but it's a secure box for the lawsuit. And when I find out what that is, I'll get in touch with you and we'll figure out whatever we have that we can dump into it. But, I mean, they're going ahead. She seemed to think, it's gonna take a while, but she seemed to think we'd probably have a good chance of, showing damage. We can definitely show damage.
right.
And yeah, she kind of sounded like she was a little more interested when I mentioned about the foam, 'cause I think that's a specific thing that they can trace to.
Oh,
They'd
that's
have to have additional sampling done on our water.
Well, it'll be worth it to do the extra.
Oh,
sample.
yeah, no, and again, I'm not even sure we'd have to pay for it as much as it's part of the lawsuit. It'd probably be, we'd have to get them to sample, I imagine. But we'll find that out. So, but right now, they're definitely going forward. Like I said, I saw a copy of an email she sent to Gagney after the meeting, but I haven't seen anything setting up the actual thing yet. And as soon as I do, I'll let you know.
I don't have to.
Oh yeah, I know you're not looking for something extra, but
No.
Carrie, is this the one I'm supposed to sign the minutes? If I got the right one.
Yeah.
Update on the replacement well, how's that coming?
It's piped in, we're waiting on the electrical part. I'm gonna ask them if they can't just tie it in electrically so that we can use it off of, you know, the MCC now and run it, and we can get our sampling in, because once it comes online, then you've gotta go through sampling.
Right.
If we can turn it on and power it up and get our samples now, then the well is usable, and if, when the VFDs come in, then we just take it offline so that they can switch it over. The VFDs don't, get like a week's worth of work tops.
Right. So, who do you have to talk to about that?
I'll ask the
The contractor?
Catter and Howard to,
So
They've already
they'll
been-
probably want a change order for it, because it'll.
well, they might, but no matter what, they have to jump, they're not redoing any of the lines going, they're gonna splice in out there. So if they do the splice in now, then that part of the job is done, that, you know, that's one separate part. The VFDs are gonna happen on the other side of this wall. So it's like two separate pieces, so
And the MCC is already,
they're already here and they're
Place.
wired, so as soon as they make the splices out there, then we can be up and running. And I can get my samples and qualify the well, and then but that well comes back online. I'd like to have it for summer if I can.
yeah, even if we don't have the VFDs at the time,
Right.
we can still at least get the water out.
Yep.
All right. Asset management.
Yeah, they haven't got me a final draft yet. And I think because the numbers kept changing, and that's why, because that tail piece was how our budget would be affected.
The Walnut Street tank, we're waiting on funding.
Yep, that's waiting on town meeting.
Have you heard anything on Lincoln Street?
No, I have not heard a word.
I spoke to Denise and David Gagney about that. They called me one night and they seemed to think that things were still going on it. And I told them about the sidewalk and that, and they didn't seem,
He said,
David Gagnon didn't seem to be too concerned about the sidewalk, so I said, okay, well, you know,
he said it's written into the TIF, because I asked him about the blueprint showing him and he didn't care to see them. He said it's written into the TIF, so
yeah.
as long as he's got it documented somewhere.
It was just funny that their guy running the project didn't seem aware of it. when
Right.
We mentioned it that first time.
Right.
About running it in the sidewalk. He was
Yeah.
like, "In what sidewalk?"
And it makes it a lot easier. I mean, if you're gonna put in a sidewalk, you can dig up the dirt anyway, so
Yeah.
just throw the pipe under it.
So, yeah, that's what they said, it was in the TIF there, and they weren't concerned, so I guess we shouldn't be.
I'm not.
I'm not.
As long as we get our pipe.
And they haven't, you know, until we negotiate on that.
Well, they haven't come back,
All
so.
right. Let's see. How about Ross Messina on the construction over there?
I haven't heard, anything from them either.
You know, one thing that I don't see on here, how about Metfield Woods, Beacon, whatever it's called now.
What about them?
The water line that they put in.
Oh, did I not? Has it been that long? Did I send out an email?
You
You
did send
did.
out an email. yeah.
All right, yeah, I've spoken with Ed. He's not gonna be back up in the area until, like the June 1st or 2nd.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
So he'd meet with you then.
Where is he, in Florida?
Georgia, North Carolina, somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
Somewhere south.
Yeah, somewhere warm.
You said that he had an engineer working on it?
He does have an engineer, and I've had some contact with the engineer, so they'll submit a plan to us. They asked me for the piping runs, and they're pretty generic. I told them that the place was pretty much put together at will.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave them, it's basically more schematic than anything else.
Did you give him our standards, since the engineer's working on them?
I can, he's not working, he's doing an as-built, not a,
Oh.
because I told him, I explained to Ed, I tried to give him some positives along with the negatives, and, but,
If he gives you an
I need
as-built,
to
that'd
know.
be good for the GIS. so
Right,
you
and
can
that's what I-
update it.
So, that'll come out of it. I can tell you that Ed will be very adversarial, I believe.
No, do that when we come to it, that's all.
Yep, we'll deal with that. Job posting,
So I did scan through the things, and the one guy that I had mentioned, he's probably not in my looking anymore. Somehow we have to, most of it, so our core group of guys, the guys our current personnel are all within 6 years of each other for eventual retirement.
that's not good.
No, that's not a good thing for our group. There has to be continuity, or we have to have passed down knowledge. So it's, I'll tweak the thing, I'll go online when I have time, and I'll look at other job ads and see what words I can put in there to tweak it. But that's eventually how we found Brendan. I just kept tweaking until we find the right word. And get somebody to step up and say, oh, well, I'll just send them. Never hurts to send a resume, and that's obvious from the resumes that I'm looking at.
Like I said, I looked through them, there were a couple that looked okay. A couple others, it's like, well, if we had to, we could probably,
Right.
might be worth talking to them, but they didn't jump out as being, necessarily right in, and then, you gotta look at the other issues, they fit, how are they gonna fit in
Right.
terms of time frame. So just keep it looking, basically?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to come from another town that's qualified.
We have one person, he's in waste treatment in Pembroke, and he lives in, I forget where, so he's not that far out. He's side roads to get here. But he's been in that town for a long time, so obviously he must be doing something right, or he's liked. But why does he wanna get out of, he's in waste treatment, so maybe he doesn't like the smell. I liked it when I worked in waste treatment, because nobody bothered you. They don't wanna come anywhere near you. So it's kinda good.
Look at Kerry shaking her head.
Might just be looking for a change, people like.
It's possible, but.
Dirty water to clean water.
I mean, under that, but he didn't have any of the skill that where electrically we get hammered
Yeah.
more than anything else. And that's the skill I most desire in somebody with electrical knowledge.
Has anybody got anything else that we can bring up, or have questions?
So I noticed something didn't make it on the thing.
Can you give it to me?
No, I might have, I don't know. See if it comes up. Hey, so somebody mentioned solar.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy, you just go on the web, there it is, see, click, tag, bang, you got money. No. So I did do my research. And I looked, and there's the smart program, Solar Massachusetts, hey. Solar electricity. Commercial, how it works. Solar Massachusetts, the smart program. There's the DOER, smart, I emailed them, I asked them about it. There's the DOER, thank you, our experience at high volume. There's Mass Smart, I also emailed them. So this is, you'll learn how I found her a little bit out. But it says DOR is not particularly responsive. So then I continued searching. And I continued searching. And searching. And if you keep seeing the SMART program is what keeps popping up. And I kept going, and I kept going in the SMART program yet again. So I tried a new tactic, University of Massachusetts Amherst, because they do something for municipalities. Kept circling back to the SMART program though. In the SMART program. So then I looked, so I contacted Sarah Dowling. She didn't answer me. And what she said is there are no programs specific to municipalities but the state SMART program. There are no grants. There's no free money. So I haven't gotten back to her. However, I knew and I saw in the wording the municipal vulnerability study, if you notice. So I know that the town had just finished one and Deborah was part of it and she had been drawing up most of the documents, but they had submitted, I just wasn't sure if we were past it. So what I have to ask is, UMass Amherst will come up and do a study for you, but you have to reach the threshold of 100,000 to the 2 million. So what I'm gonna ask them if I can, because it's energy, so can I add my heat onto, but I'll show you something else that might get us.
You have to add 100,000 to $1 million.
So you've gotta be spending for energy 100,000 to get the free
You gotta be
in-depth
spending.
assessment. So currently our budget is 75,000 and,
For electric?
right. And that ties in with that municipal vulnerability. So when I tagged on that, oh, guess what? Dead end, that link didn't work. So I couldn't find out anything there. So I did have Deborah put it, as they had already submitted the risk matrix.
Yep.
I had her put it in and I told her how to word it because I saw in their matrix, in the thing, what the grants would be going for. So I had her word it for energy with storage. So she got back, I believe we have it in there.
There's actually a thing going on, I think it's Wednesday night, about that whole municipal
Right.
vulnerability study they're doing over at Town Hall.
So the last time solar was discussed, we lost what we received from the town, from the energy field that the town has. We lost it for about 2 years till we realized we didn't have it. And then I had to let the town know that we wanted back on it. Why weren't we getting it? It was because we had talked about if you get your own solar, they're gonna remove the credits, the very credits that we currently receive. So I know you don't know what the credits are, but I do. And I'm not sure I can blow this up enough. So Manly basically runs, it still costs us, but we receive credits. If you look at the bottom line, the Constellation Energy Credit, that's what we're receiving from the town against that account. If you look at the Sear Street, we're actually in a positive. We have positive money out of what we receive from the town. So it's not, we don't pay a bill for this, for the main office in Station 1. We don't pay a bill for Norman Ave either, because we're in the positive. If you look the negative numbers all the way over to the far right that are
What do you
red,
mean we don't? We sign bills for them all the time.
you sign bills, yes.
But
But
not
not for all of
every,
them.
yeah, because we have, I think we have 7 accounts.
Yeah, we do. Those are them all listed right there.
Yeah.
Well, where's the bills we just signed? We just had a,
If there's a bill that has a 0 or like a credit, Sue asked us not to submit it because we don't owe anything on it. So I printed,
Yeah, so I had to have her go find them because I had large blocks, because in order to speak with that czar from Amherst, I have to tell her, she'll tell me what the costs for solar are. I'm not telling her that we get credits or what's happening here, and I don't know whether I need to go any further with it, because we're gonna lose a lot to gain something.
So our $75,000 budget number
Is,
electrical, is that takes into account what we get back on the credits?
right,
So in reality, our cost would
is
be,
way up, so that's why I think I can make the 100,000 threshold. I just have to remove the credits, but I don't know if that's it's manipulating the data I just don't know whether they'll look at our bills and then see it that I manipulated the data.
No, but then you just say, if we
Yeah,
were
that's
to
all.
go to
Just
if we
explain
were to
it.
go to our own solar, we'd lose these credits, so
Right.
that puts us
Yeah.
to that point.
So I know she's not back until Wednesday. So,
So when I see the red here, like negative
yep,
3884,
yep.
so that's telling me that they paid us 3,884.
Well, no, we have a credit on the account.
Right, they didn't pay us.
So the next bill, that's in addition to whatever we're gonna get.
I don't get it. I don't understand this.
So the Constellation Energy is the amount that we're getting from the town's solar field, applied against our bills.
Correct.
Yeah, but we have to pay them for the electricity. They're not giving us this for nothing.
So whatever they credit us, it's wiping out the bills for 29 CS Street, which is this, the main office, and Station 1, and it's wiping out the bill for Norman Ave. Occasionally we go to the plus and we have to pay something, but there's like a half a year, when we're entering the solar period right now where that
That
the
field
panels
generates a
can
lot.
How are we
generate the most
spending
amount.
$75,000?
What?
How are we spending $75,000? I only see $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000.
I'm not sure where we're at right now in our budget for spending, because I didn't get time. It took me a lot to get to this point.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, if they're given a credit from the town,
How do you get,
depending on what the town generates, they get money back from the solar field.
Yeah, they
And
have,
we get a certain amount of that back.
I think
based
that
on our
thing
bill.
generated more than they thought it was gonna.
Yeah, so in the winter, if it's not generating.
Right,
much,
it
we're not
doesn't, like
getting
my
as much
panels
off.
don't. Of course, my inverter broke, so they've gotta replace it, so I'm not generating anything right now.
What's the lead time for the inverter?
well, one of the
It's just a
things,
month, so it wasn't that bad.
one of the things that they did do, that I noticed, is that if you remember last summer, when they were paying me, when I was producing all my electricity, they had a low electric rate. In the fall, if you remember, they said, oh, it's, cost of
The rate jumped
electricity's gonna go up.
Of course.
So now, when I started buying their electricity, because I'm not producing as much, the
Higher
bill
rate.
went up substantially. They gobbled up my $1,200 credit really fast. Now, they should have, if they had raised the rate in the summertime, they would have been paying me at the higher rate. So I would have had a credit of $1,600 or $1,700.
Yeah, but if you were them, would you have done that?
No.
Of course not.
No, but I'm just saying, so I ended up paying them this year $200 for the,
Well, last summer was it
One
was
bill.
rainy, I did not generate a lot of electricity.
but that's the first time in 7 years. But I've always generated enough credit where, I covered the whole thing.
I think it was more cloudy last year than it was sunny. And then as we just get into the sunny period, and it's actually sunny, that's when my freaking inverter burnt out.
So bottom line on what you're saying here is there's no free money,
There's no free money.
and it doesn't look like there's a lot of option to get, unless we can get the free study from
Right.
Amber.
I'm gonna try for the
That would
free
be the
study.
only thing we can
Let's see if we can get a free study out of there.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, let's see what we could do.
But it was interesting, I had forgotten about that we had lost the credit for a while.
Then why did we lose it for a while?
Because they determined that if you have your own solar, then you don't get theirs. I don't know who makes that determination.
But we don't have our own solar.
I know, but they didn't know that. All they knew was you were talking about getting it, and you had done the study, and you were just short of signing for it. And so that's why somebody arbitrarily removed us.
Wonderful. Well, there's a lot of panels down there at Jay's. They must be making an awful lot of electricity.
There are.
Alright. I'd like somebody to explain that chart to me better there. I don't understand that at all.
I was just throwing it together, so I don't have time, I didn't have time to add up the numbers, because I was racing to get to Zara, because I thought I was gonna speak to her today. Then I looked at her email and I saw that she's not gonna be back until like Wednesday, so. But I knew we were having a meeting tonight, so.
Yeah, maybe if you can email out the chart or something.
Yeah, I'll send her the thing. I just wanna readjust it so that I remove, or I have another behind it that shows what it is without the solar credit. I just have to understand the bill a little better, so I know at what point it's removed.
Now, at some point when we do the infrastructure upgrades for iron, manganese, and PFAS, and all that's said and done, we'll probably be closer to the 100, right?
Right, because Manley Street uses a lot of electricity, but it has the UV light in it.
Yeah, that uses a lot.
In general, it uses a lot because it's got a high air compressor and it's got things in it that use amperage.
The other thing that was always a killer on the bill was the demand
charge.
that they put on it. The motors are so big that the electric company's theory is they have to have enough electricity standing here all the time at a higher amount because
Yes,
these
surge.
big motors, when they turn on, they take such a draw. So they still have to have the electricity there, so they put this big demand charge on you. Just because of those big motors when they
So that's
start.
when you went and you retied, like this brick had this station tied to station 1, so it's 1 demand charge, not 2.
Right.
Manley Street is tied to the where the wells are, so that's 1 demand charge, not 2.
Yeah, we combined them, so we're only getting 1 demand charge. We used to have lots of it, you know, every building, every pumping station had their own demand charge. But the electricity to the pumping station down there is tied through this building. The electricity comes here and goes down there, so now there's just 1 demand charge. Because we had to spend $10,000 on a copper wire that was large enough to carry the electricity all the way down there without a drop in the voltage
Yeah.
to affect the motors, but it was worth it over the long run. It paid for itself in a couple of years. So, anything else, Art?
No.
Kerry?
Next meeting is May 16th at 5.
And the town meeting is
And the town meeting, we got town meeting
at 6
tonight.
o'clock on Monday at 6 o'clock.
So a week from today, right?
Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Would you like to make it?
Sure, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.